Hey guys, Big Swede here with the SPP machine. This will be the long version video showing you a little more detail. I'm out in my hangar. It's about 100 degrees, so it won't be that long. This is where I do my work. Got my vertical milling machine, my old lathe, and they do good work for me. Good part is I got the tools and the space. The bad part is it's either 0 degrees or 100 degrees. Anyway, to the machine itself. This was built from assorted scrap I had lying around. The motor is a 10-to-1 planetary gearbox servo motor that was pulled from a CNC machine probably some time ago. I have no idea what machine it came from. Motor itself, outstanding quality. To the nose of that motor I adapted an ER16 collet closer, and that lets me install any bit of just about any diameter up to 3/8 of an inch, so I can experiment later on. Those of you that have followed this build know I have kind of an elaborate wire feed setup. Without the multiple spring-loaded idler pulleys, loops, etc., you tend to get popping, pinging, and an uneven feed. So I've got the up and over going. This black handle here adjusts the tension on the spool itself. Standard 2-pound spool of stainless MIG welding wire. I'm using 0.023 inch diameter wire. The heart of the wire feed is this spring-loaded linear way that I have mounted on this pulley. Note how the shaft of the pulley is long. It lets the pulley follow the feed of the wire from the spool. It goes to a pulley that has a slightly shorter shaft, and yet another shorter shaft down there. Finally, a fixed pulley that goes up to what was intended to be a tensioning device is now just simply a clamp. Lets me cut the wire, reset things, and not have it all come unraveled. And that little brass and steel construction there is a wire feed. There are 3 holes. The steel there is A2, and it's been hardened to about Rockwell 60. Something very helpful, the little brass disc that I have on the end of the bit, it makes it such that the wire feeds correctly. You have to use that or some type of a washer so that the wire doesn't roll back too far to the left. As the SPP gets formed, I initially had the tubing there was copper. Found that it didn't work well. As it tried to make the bends, it tended to kink, and then this portion of the SPP would turn into a knot, a ball, and the whole thing would just jam to a stop. It follows the tubing down in an arc to my automated cutter, and this probably gave me more grief than anything else. Looks complicated, I guess you could say, yeah, it is. The SPP strand and the body of the machine itself is a ground. The probe here, 24 volts. When the SPP makes contact down here, it activates the cut through the solid state relay. Solenoid's actuated, guillotine slams, and we get our cut. LED allows me to test the sensing without having it cut. You gotta have something like that or you're gonna lose a finger. And highly recommended emergency stop. I've used it more than once. So let's fire it up. Master switch comes on first. I've got forward and reverse on my direction. Speed control here. I'm going to start it down pretty slow for now. Let's put her on forward. I get a little buzz from the pulse width modulation. And let's start her moving. It sounds like a sewing machine. I have no idea if that sound is coming through. You can hear the cutter. For purposes of the video, that's about as fast as I want to go. I'm going to experiment with some higher speeds a bit later. You can see the SPP coming off the bit. This tubing is great. Can't recommend it more highly. Again, this is PTFT, but polyurethane will work just as well. And you can actually see it feeding down through the spool, or through the tubing rather. That copper tube in the middle is where the SPP itself actually makes contact with the sensing circuit. Cut SPP feeds through the copper pipe and into any handy receptacle. Notice how the spring-loaded truck is in fact moving back and forth, tends to even out the forces. Eventually, it would be nice to feed that spool from a larger spool, but for now I'm going to go with what I got. I'll be trying some high-speed runs a bit later. I'm content for now. I'm still not at the point where I can walk away from this thing, and in fact I just installed this emergency stop system rather than reaching for that toggle switch, so I'm going to give it a shot. Works good. I'll see you guys online. Be safe.